Every student in District 109 who uses a Chromebook will have to evaluate the condition of their Chromebook at the end of the school year. This is a little tutorial to show you how that is done. So we're going to be looking at 7 different components: the headphone jack, keyboard, hinge opening, screen, external speakers, bezel, and spine. And once you have a sense of how to evaluate each of these components, you'll get to work on your own Chromebook and complete this evaluation. So we'll begin with the headphone jack. The way to test the headphone jack is to plug a pair of headphones into the jack, play some sort of a video or some music to test whether or not the sound comes out of the headphones. If it does, you will give your device a score of a 1 for headphone jack, and if no sound or crackling comes out, or if the sound sounds distorted, you will give your device a 0. Let's move on to keyboard. Take a look at your device's keyboard. If all the keys are in place, and if the keys are working properly, you can give your device's keyboard a score of a 1. If there are any missing keys or keys that stick and you have a very hard time typing, that's when you would give your device a 0. And finally, the hinge opening, and that's where you open the lid of your Chromebook. If you hear any sort of a pop, or if when the device opens, the screen is a little off-centered from the rest of the keyboard, you would give it a 0. But if it's a smooth opening and closing of the device, you can give it a 1. And then what you'll do is you will multiply the headphone jack, keyboard, and hinge opening and give it a score here in the line 1 total box. If the device scores a 0 across the top, meaning any of the first components have a 0 and you multiply it and it gets a 0, you are going to go and plug in a 0 right at the bottom total box, and you don't even need to move on to line 2. But hopefully you won't have any sound issues, your keyboard will have all of its keys, your hinge will open smoothly, and you can multiply across to give yourself a 1. If any of these are zeros, you'll move a 0 to the bottom and you'll be finished. For the rest of you, let's move on and check out your screen. If the screen is perfect, then you would give yourself a 1, but if you have any cracks, if it's very dim, or if it flickers at all, you would give your screen a 0. Moving on to the external speakers. Again, just like with the headphone jack test, you're going to go to some sort of a website that will play music, maybe even YouTube, test out the sound for the external speakers. If it sounds great, you'll give it a 1. If the sound is distorted or if you have no sound, you would give it a 0. Now we'll move on to the bezel. The bezel is like the frame of the screen. If it is cracked, if it's loose at all, or even if it's missing, that's when you would give it a 0. But if the bezel is right where it needs to be, you could give it a 1. And finally, the spine, which is the back of the Chromebook. We're seeing a lot of missing spine. So if it's missing or broken, you would give it a 0. And if the spine is perfectly in place, you would give it a 1. And then this line, instead of multiplying, you would add. So you would add across your screen score, external speaker score, bezel score, and spine score. And maybe some of you will end up with something like this. Whatever the bottom line, the line 2 score is, you'll enter it where it says line 2 total, and then you're going to add line 1 plus line 2, and down here at the bottom, you will enter your score. If you are a 5th, 6th, or 7th grade student and you would like to keep your Chromebook for next school year, you are welcome to write your name right here where it says name. Please write it legibly and also put your grade, and you will be able to take your Chromebook to the office and they will keep it for you all summer. If you're a 5th grader, it will get moved to your middle school so that you can have it for next year. When you're finished with the evaluation, we'll be asking everybody to tape their evaluation to the front of the Chromebook so that we can keep track of every device's score. Thanks for watching, and thanks for participating in this Chromebook evaluation.